Oh, sorry. Going on in the industry. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there were a bunch of layoffs just announced just a little while ago. I think just like an hour or two ago, the Discord layoffs, or at least that's when I found out about them. They came out today. So they laid off 17%. Unity, of course, was in there. You've probably all seen that. They're doing a 25% layoff, which is pretty big. And then, yeah, Google, Amazon, Twitch. Twitch was another one that was like 2 days ago. And it seems like kind of a big trend they're going on. So it's yeah, Twitch. There's people watching on Twitch right now. They just had their layoff. Was that on the 9th? So it's been a whopping 2 days. It seems like this is going to keep happening. I fully expect that we're going to see a bunch more from a bunch of other game companies and just tech companies in general. And it's probably not just tech companies, but I think we're going to see a bunch from the tech companies that you see posted here. This is the layoffs.fyi site, by the way, which just has tech company layoffs. So it's not going to list anything other than those, but it shows them all in order, when they happened, what percent they were, how many people, and then has links to articles about all of them. So yeah, there's definitely a lot going on layoff wise. And yeah, I'm curious a little bit what everybody thinks about it. Are you guys all worried or terrified or think it's a good thing? Or yeah, I'm kind of up in the air. I feel like, I mean, obviously it sucks when there's layoffs. Nobody likes to get laid off. But some of these companies do seem like they're excessively large, which I never really understood. When companies get to be like thousands and thousands of employees, but the kind of core of it is like 100 people doing the main thing. It's there's a lot. I feel like there's probably a lot of duplication, a lot of stuff that they can feel like they can trim out without causing too many problems for the company. Obviously, causes huge problems for the people working there, though, which really sucks. Also reminded me of my first game dev job. So I think I've told this story before, but if you haven't heard it, when I first got into game development, I'd started at the time I was working at Intel doing tools for Blade servers. And I got a message to go, or that there was an opening to go work on Vanguard. And I was like, oh, this sounds awesome. I'm very excited about it. And I took a job to go down there to do QA automation and tools. So there's a bunch of manual testing plus building tools for testing. But after literally 3 weeks, I think it was slightly under 3 weeks, like 20 days, there were some layoffs announced. And it was interesting because the layoffs were actually announced because a friend of mine working somewhere else asked me about them. And then I asked my boss about them, and then they called a company meeting because apparently it had leaked out. So they called a company meeting and let everybody know that they were going to lay off a bunch of people. There was a company acquisition getting taken back in by Sony essentially, and yeah, they laid off like half of the company, and everybody had to go find new jobs. I ended up lucking out and even after getting laid off, getting back into the same company on the same project, just working in a better position, doing something even more exciting. So sadly, it ended up working out well for me, but really bad for a lot of other people. But it did also, I think, force some people to go into new companies and new opportunities where they were probably a little bit complacent. Some of them even went into just totally new industries, and I've seen, like, I'm still friends with some of them and follow a lot more of them online and see they do all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's definitely a mess. It sucks. It's no fun. Yeah, layoffs suck, but Unity staff was too big for profit margins. Yep. So long term, it could be positive. Yeah, I'm really curious too on what it is exactly they're going to get rid of at Unity. Like 25% is a big percentage, but what is that, like whole departments? Is that 25% of a bunch of departments, or 50% of a bunch, or is it, I guess I'm sure we'll find out the details later, and it probably isn't going to matter too much, but I am a little bit curious. I did notice that they have 27 offices worldwide, though, which I would imagine is part of this downsizing, that they're going to shrink that, because it seems like way too many. I feel like you could build a game engine in one office. No, but I don't know shit about building a whole game engine company or anything, but it feels like a lot of things. And I assume that's largely from acquisitions. It's probably just that, things got acquired and bought, and they'll probably end up pulling a bunch of that stuff in and shutting those down. But I don't really know. I guess we'll all find out. So if I was going to say conspiracy theory, I'd wonder if AI may be making a small percentage of those jobs redundant. Well, do you guys think that's possible, that AI is the reason or is a motivator? I feel like it's probably unlikely, but maybe there were some. There goes the rest of what I thought that they had already laid off the whole team or the whole department, but I'm not really sure. Hmm. I feel like humans are far too slow to catch up with the quick tech from AI. Yeah, the AI stuff is definitely going to be interesting to see how that keeps impacting things. I still feel like it's impacting artists at first, and it's going to impact artists the most at first, and then maybe um, it might impact narrative designers as well, because I feel like some places are going to cut back on the amount of narrative design people that they have and have those people use some generative tools as well. Code side, so far, I haven't seen AI do anything to really replace programmers. It's really just helping the ones that are using it be a little bit faster and more productive. Of course, if you're using it right, if you aren't careful, it'll lead you down the wrong path. And if you don't know how to use it right, it can be a little bit messy. I think AI is young enough. Companies are adding jobs to integrate it into their tooling more than taking jobs. Yeah, that's kind of the case right now, is that AI stuff is being integrated in everywhere. I wanted to talk also real quick about a job finding source, though, because it sucks that there's a bunch of layoffs, but there is the one place that I like to look, which if I can find it, let me see. Let's pull this up. Where are you, Amir? He's in here somewhere. I will find him. There we go. We're going to pull him over. And switch tabs. Any second now. Where's that tab switch? Okay, my mouse is not moving anymore. Yeah, Unity did. Jim's right there. That Unity says that their layoffs are part of doing a company reset that focuses more on the core game dev mission. And I saw that they, all of the Iron Source founders and execs have decided to leave or agreed to leave. They're part of this restructuring too. But I don't know what that means for the actual stuff going on here. Let's switch tabs. Let's show this. Bam. So if you are laid off and looking for a job, or not laid off and looking for a job, you should definitely follow this dude on LinkedIn. Let me. Where's his latest post? His posts. It's a little bit depressing because you'll see like he posts every job layoff that happens, but he also posts a ton of great job resources. Why? Okay, apparently I don't know how to use LinkedIn. Posts by Amir. There we go. Where do I see all of his posts? Why is it not showing? I have no idea what I'm doing here. But he does have a bunch of posts with great job resources and other stuff. But for some reason, I don't know how to use LinkedIn and find it. Where is it? Yeah, he is it. This guy is great. I think a couple people have seen him. Where's Amir's posts? I swear they were all showing up here earlier, and then I go to a demo. This is like a live demo, like a code demo for browsing a web page. That's pretty bad. We'll close all this stuff out. Why can't I find it? Anyway, he's got a great set of resources, though. Now I'm hitting post. Like I said, I don't know how to use LinkedIn. I just search on here, find Amir, and normally it shows me all of his job posting type stuff. And he has a lot of great resources, though, that list companies that are hiring, different things that you should do to actually get into a job, mentor programs. He's got tons and tons of resources here that I definitely recommend you go follow him. You just have to figure out how to use LinkedIn so you can actually see all of his posts, which apparently, yeah, I click on him. I go to here. It says posts. Show all posts. Come on. There we go. Bam. So yeah, you can see here, this is where I found out about the Discord layoffs right here. 17%, 170 people. And if you go down a little bit further, you see that he's got, here we go. The January 2024 job resources update. I'm going to actually post this into the chat too, so everybody can take a look at it. If you're looking for a job, I think it's definitely the place to go, or it's a very good place to go. Go find a bunch of resources for job openings, and I think good tips for getting an actual position and people to reach out to. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that. I think that it's helpful. People should go do it if you need a job. Anyway, let's see. There are a couple other things in chat. I want to just follow up with the chat questions. And like I said, this is going to be a pretty quick stream. I've got another call at 1 o'clock that I've got to jump over to, and my daughter's birthday and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I use Copilot all day long. Can't do my job. Oh, yeah, I like this one. So Jeff mentioned that he used GitHub Copilot all day long. It can't do the job by any stretch, but it helps me do mine big time. That's what I found with AI too. It's essentially speeding me up. It's making it so that a lot of the things I was going to type, I just don't have to type them. And that's been the biggest benefit so far, is that it's been like a very good predictive IntelliSense. Not always good, but the fact that you can go through the different predictions and pick the one that you want makes it pretty damn good. So you can go find the one that's right. But I'd say most of the time, like 70% plus of the time, it just predicts what I want exactly right. And same with the JetBrains Writer one too. I found that one's working really well. I've been using it for the last 2 weeks. It works really well for project-wide recommendations, is unlike Copilot, which I think is still a situation with Copilot. You don't have to have all the tabs open for it to read them and know them. It just knows the project in general and the project structure. So if I start writing something, it actually just rewrites it in the same way that or when it predicts it, it writes it in the same way that the rest of the project is set up, and makes the same kinds of calls and things. And it's pretty damn smart at that, which I thought was really impressive. So it's certainly speeding me up. But also that also, I wonder if that affects game dev jobs for new people getting in. I don't know. Anyway, what do you guys all think of this this layoff stuff and the AI things? Curious what everybody else is thinking in chat. I got to talk to people in the student call earlier. That was interesting. Some good opinions. Jim was there. By the way, if you're not signed up, there's links in the description for the multiplayer mastery course and the game programmer course, and I gave both of them access to the live calls. Our next one is in 5.5 hours. Just hop on Zoom, go over problems and questions and all that stuff. Talk about whatever's going on and solve as many problems. That link right there that I just dropped into chat is for Amir on LinkedIn. He's an amazing resource for game dev jobs. He posts all kinds of good game dev job resources, and helps, basically just does a lot to help people get jobs and help people who've been laid off and impacted by stuff like that. So it's a really good resource. Highly recommend it. Sad for the people that are affected, but it shows the company wants to restructure for growth. Yeah, I guess they want to get back to being profitable, I guess. I mean, I feel like a lot of these companies, they grew and grew and grew like crazy. It was even weirder how much companies grew over COVID time. I guess just because interest rates were really low, but it seemed really strange, like the way that was all happening. I think trade jobs are looking for really good workforce. That's definitely true, and they're starting to pay really well compared. It might be a general shift or sign to come, where instead of building base tools, new tools can be built on top of existing ones. Yeah, I think so too. That's in reference to the AI stuff. There's a lot of new tools coming out. OpenAI just released their GPT store, where you can put up your own transformers and have people use them and then make money from them. So I can see it. It seems like it's getting there. It's been like a year in. So don't be complacent about AI being lame. Tech, start thinking about plan B, yeah, for your career before your road. That's one of the things I work, like concept artists and 2D artists, especially right now. I worry that their job prospects are starting to dry up. They're not going to completely dry up, but because the AAA companies are still going to want them and still be able to hire them. But the other ones, the smaller size, I feel like a lot of those, which is probably like half of the industry, a lot of those are going to start disappearing, just because it's faster and cheaper. And it's not that they'll get rid of all the artists. They'll just cut back on the number of artists and have them use generative AI tools, just like what's in Photoshop now. If you haven't used the latest version of Photoshop, you should probably go try it out, or any of the tools that are out there, like for artists. They're getting more and more AI stuff built in, and they just kind of, I feel like they're going to make it easier and faster for artists, just like they have been all the whole way along, though. Yeah, art is definitely the biggest one getting hit. Will there be a move to gig workers? I don't know. I feel like there's a move away from that right now, but who knows? Let's see. Any other questions in here? Like Twitter prior to Elon, there was a lot of fat in the company. Yeah. Too many chiefs in that. Oh yeah. I mean, that certainly could be. I don't know. I don't really know what the case is. I feel like with Twitter, they cut like half of the staff and then everything went fine. But again, like with all of these tech companies, well, especially like the web ones like that, I don't understand how you need that many people if you don't have customer service and support and stuff. I mean, maybe if they were all CS people trying to help or something, but it boggles my mind the scale of people and the number of people that get hired in. For different initiatives. Plus, one of the things that happens often, and I don't know if it has happened at any of these specific companies listed here, or the ones that we talked about, but I do know it happens at other companies. I've seen it happen at multiple Fortune 500 companies, is that people get hired in. There's some grand ambition for a project that's going to happen. That project gets canceled and killed, and then they just get moved around to other teams. There's no real necessary like need for having that person there, but they already work at the company, so now they have to have a position found for them, so they got to go kind of fill that spot and may or may not have any actual productive work to do. I've seen that happen at personally and third party, like from other people, many times at big companies. You get in and nobody wants to fire you when you're at a big company like that, because they all feel like firing you is like firing me. Like I could be the next one. So they don't end up, and it's probably a huge, crazy process to let them go too. So they end up with a bunch of people working on stuff that may or may not be what they were originally there for, and may or may not be useful. Again, no idea if that applies to any of these. But I have seen it a lot in other places. I feel like with Unity, one of their biggest things is probably just tons of redundancy with the just sheer massive number of locations they have. That's got to be at least a reasonable chunk of it. Let's see. Anything else? AI automate revolution. Yep. Just result in fewer jobs. What's the reason for these layoffs in the tech software industry? I think the two biggest reasons are a drop in ad revenue and an increase in interest rates. For the last, like, I don't know, 5-6 years or so, interest rates were like almost zero. So they could just get tons and tons of funding from investors, I guess, and I'm sure probably borrow money too for some of them at near a 0% interest rate. And now that it's changed, and the rates are way higher, and like I said, ad rates are way down. I mean, I've seen it just on YouTube alone. If you look at like the click or the ad rate for ads, I think it's like a third of what it used to be 2 years ago. It is way down. It's not even close. So they're all way down in revenue and way up in costs. And I assume that means that they're under stress to fix that. As a junior AI ML engineer, should I worry? No, you should be probably excited, because that's the kind of thing that you should be getting into. I feel, I don't really know though, so I don't know enough about AI to say that you should get into it, but I wouldn't be worried about it too much. It's funny, it's happening. That this live is happening today. Learned the company. Oh, Jesus, laying off everyone. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Alberta. That's terrible. Those are always the worst when they're like, yep, we're shutting everything down. Everybody's got to go except for like the 2 people here to clean things up. That's never fun. I would definitely go look at Amir's page though, if that's the case. Let's see, almost never Google things anymore. Yep, just using AI and documentation. I do the same. If you do that, does anybody just does everybody else just kind of default to searching in AI now? I'm curious. Like I use Google sometimes, like when I want to find a very specific thing, like an item or a page, or like flights to some place or whatever. But if I want to actually figure something out, I typically just default to ChatGPT now too. Huh. Yeah, Lentor said you may be in the best place as an ML engineer because you get to kind of do some of the control there. Anyway, let's see. Oh. Ooh, an email from Jurgen. Hey, Jurgen, if you're watching, the problem that you're running into is that multiplayer play mode is synchronizing it is almost likely the problem you're running into is multiplayer play mode is synchronizing it and it's getting too delayed. So you're getting into the server and then it's by the time the client's kicking off, it's got a network manager already there, and then it's doing another network manager because it grabbed it from the server scene. So it loaded up the server scene, it did the don't destroy on load, and then it loaded up the other one. It's the easy solution to that. This again, just for Jurgen, who's in the multiplayer course. Just open up the startup scene, and then press play from there. That should solve it and stop you from running into that issue. And just make sure the windows are up, or use ng sync tools as well. Also another good option. It's that multiplayer play mode. By the way, has everybody here used multiplayer play mode? If you haven't, you should probably try it out. It's not like an automatically accessible thing in the package manager. You actually have to go into experimental settings and enable it, and then you add the package by doing add package by name, and it's com.unity.multiplayer.playmode, and it gives you the 4-window layout for multiplayer game development that you get with Unreal. So it's essentially like trying to duplicate the same kind of functionality that you get in Unreal, where you can have 4 players all in one editor running around, and you can debug them, see the inspector, and all that stuff. So if you haven't tried it out, it's definitely worth trying. But that was the answer. I'll have to email Jurgen afterwards in case it's not answered. But just in case, I thought I'd pop out the answer here. Let's take a couple more questions. Have you ever used a CAPTCHA? What is this? Yeah, the CAPTCHAs are, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it doesn't seem like they actually are trying to validate anything anymore. It seems like they're all just trying to train AI. Like, what's the biggest animal here? It wants you to go click on it. It all seems like AI training stuff now, which is interesting. I mean, I know that's what they were doing from the beginning. They were doing a bunch of training with it before, but now it's very obvious. It's become a lot more obvious. The questions are not like, which one has a stoplight. I still default to Google, but I don't find what I'm looking for. I go to ChatGPT. Yeah, I kind of do the same, but it depends on the thing. If it's a code related thing, I almost always just go straight to ChatGPT. Find Google's Bard smarter than ChatGPT. I have found it to be better at a lot of things too. Not everything, but a lot of things. But it does drive me nuts to get like an ad in the middle, and then half the time it would just give me a summary with a bunch of links. But it does seem like a good option, and it's free. So if you're looking at AI stuff, you haven't used any, just go try out Google's Bard. I think it's definitely worthwhile. Let's see, anything else? If you were a car, what would you not run over in this picture? I like that question. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, Google only wastes time now. What? Sorry, Google. What the hell? Google just popped up on my phone and asked me how many ounces in a cup. Apparently it thinks I'm talking to it. What was that? Google, I'm not talking to you. Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, anybody got any questions about jobs or anything before we go? And also, if you didn't check out the video that I just released earlier today about the populate character system, I highly recommend you check it out. We went into detail about what it is that they're building and how it's used and how it can actually be used by like your regular old indie developer. They're actually doing an SDK that'll be available, and then there's some info on how you can get that early. So if you have characters in your game, I'd say it's definitely worth checking out. Pablo asked, do I invest in the stock market? Yes, but not well. I'm a terrible, terrible investor. And I don't invest in any game companies because I feel like it's a conflict of interest. And honestly, I feel like all my predictions wrong anyway. So I don't even try. Google is like WordPress ad infectedness. Yeah, it's Google search is relatively bad for a lot of things nowadays, especially compared to ChatGPT. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Ask ChatGPT why there were so many layoffs. Yeah, I feel like the answer to that is probably pretty standardized. I wonder what it said though. Did it say that the rates were too high? Oh, even when I start without a virtual player, it shows too. Oh, that's interesting. Um, we'll have to debug that more, Jurgen, if that's the case. Unless there's a network manager in, because I only see your startup scene here. I don't see a second scene being loaded. Oh, it could be the if statement missing too, and that it's reloading the startup scene after it's already loaded. So it should be checking to see if the startup scene is loaded and then not reloading it. So that could be the case as well. Sorry, answering support questions in the live stream, but hopefully everybody doesn't mind. It's just a net code for game objects. If you have a network manager, it automatically has don't destroy unload. So if you have one and you load another scene in there that has that object again, you end up with duplicates of it. So you have two network managers. Very easy problem to run into. It doesn't really cause issues until you try to access your network manager. Everything will work until you try to call your singleton and find you got the wrong object or something. But it's easy to fix just by making sure that that level doesn't load again. And I'm guessing that the if statement is missing there on the check for startup, or maybe the scene name is slightly different and it's not matching, but we'll have to debug it a little bit more. If you don't figure it out by the time for our 6 o'clock call, though, make sure to come join and we'll just step through it and get it all knocked out. By the way, if anybody is interested, make sure you go check out the links on the multiplayer mastery course and the game programmer course down below. I just updated the pages a little while ago, and we have our next live student call in 5.5 hours. We just hop on Zoom and go over everything, go over questions, debug people's problems and all that stuff. Anyway, I want to see if there were any other questions. It doesn't look like it. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I've got a meeting in 30 minutes I got to get ready for real quick, and a couple other things to do for my daughter's birthday. But again, Happy New Year to everybody. If you're here, please hit the thumbs up button, like, and subscribe, and let me know what kinds of topics you want to hear about next. I've got a couple technical videos on some design patterns that I'm working on right now and a couple other things, but I really want to make sure that I'm hitting videos where everybody's interested and they get all the way to the top, so that they're my number one videos, not things that people aren't interested in. So if you got something that you want to see a video for, whether it's a lightweight topic or a heavy duty, deep dive into some pattern or something else, just let me know in the comments down below, and I will try to get them done as quick as possible and try to make some stuff that you all love. All right, thanks again, everybody. I will see you soon. Bye.